In the spirit of the holidays, we want you to celebrate with your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicappers and do it at a discount by giving you a one-time 25% off everything you can fit into your cart between now and midnight on December 25th using coupon code GIFT25 when checking out. While this coupon can only be used once at WagerTalk and once at Sports Memo, the value is unlimited and there is no limit on what you can add to your cart when redeeming. Daily, all access, season, pick your team, and even mix and match handicappers as the combinations are endless. Remember, there is no limit to the number of handicappers at WagerTalk and Sports Memo you can lock in, but coupon code GIFT25 will expire at midnight on Christmas. On behalf of everyone at WagerTalk, Sports Memo, and Gold Sheet, we want to thank you for supporting us in 2022 by watching our videos, following us on social media, and trusting us with your wagers. However you celebrate, we wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Happy Thursday, happy holidays. Welcome into the NBA tip-off show here at WagerTalk TV. I'm Megan Payton. Alongside me, we've got a great panel today. We've got Ronald Kabang, we've got Ralph Michaels, Tony Finn will be joining us here. Look, we only got 2 NBA games today. It's going to be a short show, a quick show, but it'll be fun. A crazy game last night. How about the Bucks not getting the job done despite Giannis putting up 45 points? The Cavs won that game. Warriors yet again lose another one. This is big. How about the Knicks? By the way, they're getting penalized for apparently tampering with that Jalen Brunson signing. They're going to lose a 2025 second round pick. Pascal Siakam had 52 points against the Knicks. This was a big day in NBA, but I think even though this is the NBA tip-off show, we've got to talk college basketball for a sec. Eastern Illinois with the biggest upset in modern era, a 31.5-point underdog. They go and beat Iowa yesterday. Guys, before we break down these two games, give out some best bets for tonight. I want to know what's going on. Ralph, what do you have at WagerTalk? I know you're looking at some college basketball.
Well, I do have a special. I have a Weekend Warrior special. I have a bowl game Friday, NFL Saturday, NFL Sunday, including a 5%. Number one in the NFL this year, over 70%. If you go now to my homepage, you'll get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $49. More importantly, as soon as you buy that package, you'll get all the football plays I have loaded and then any hoops plays as well. And I do want to mention the NBA stat sheet, the WagerTalk NBA stat sheet, red hot. 6 straight winners, 10-3 the last 13 on the best bets. You can find that daily on my Twitter at CalSportsLV.
Ronald, how did last night go for you? What do you have over at Sports Memo?
Yeah, today, like you mentioned, it's a small slate, so I'm actually focusing in on player props for the most part. Today, I have a package up with 4 player props. I'm gonna give a couple out today. Probably the one that's gonna be I'm gonna be talking about on the best bet section. 4 and 2 yesterday overall in the last couple of weeks here, really picking it up in the NBA, getting a lot of data, and that's really helping me out here. So hopefully we just continue our winning ways here in the NBA.
And Tony, it's good to see you. I heard you've got some stuff going on for Thursday Night Football. We've got Jets Jags later on tonight. What are you looking at for WagerTalk?
Yeah, I have a fortuitous, let's call it that, streak going on Thursdays, 9-0 with my top of the ticket total. So 9 straight total winners on Thursday Night Football. We put that right in front of the Jets and Jags train. Let's see if we can keep that going. I have a pair, or actually 3 player props in the association, 1 position on 1 game as a side. That's what I have. College, still contemplating.
All right, well, we've got two games on the slate for NBA tonight. We've got the Spurs and the Pelicans, and we've got the Wizards and Jazz. Let's start with San Antonio and New Orleans. Pelicans are an 8.5-point favorite. The total's at 228, and tip-off's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. The storyline here is what's going on with the Pelicans. They've lost 4 in a row. Zion's not going to be playing due to health and safety, probably a COVID issue. No Brandon Ingram, still dealing with the toe injury. And they've got to find a way to win. I mean, this is going to be against a Spurs team that's essentially the worst defensive rating in the NBA and also can't do anything on offense. Ronald, I'll come to you first. Anything that you're eyeing for Pelican Spurs?
Yeah, from a side perspective, I think I can only look towards the Pelicans here. I know Zion's going to be out. I know Brandon Ingram is going to be out, but I think the reason why they have this 8.5-point line here at the moment, I think I think the line is pretty telling that they should have enough through Valanciunas and through CJ to be able to take care of business tonight against, like you mentioned, a Spurs team that's really struggling on the defensive side of the ball. They're coming off of a win, a pretty big win at that 19 points here. I looked at how the Spurs did after winning after winning by double digits this season. Only one game so far. The following game, after winning by double digits, they lost that game by I think it was like 35 plus points to the Warriors, who were on the second leg of back-to-back games. And the Warriors are typically shorthanded on those games as well. So it looks like they come back down to earth after having a pretty great performance. I think that happens today. Another thing to note as well, when Keldon Johnson doesn't play, they're 1-2 straight up, 1-2 ATS, 3-0 to the over. One thing that I wanted to look at in this game specifically was that first quarter over. And in those 3 games, they're averaging 63.7 points per game in that first quarter combined with their opponent. And just on the road in general, 60.8 points per game in the first quarter on the road. So their defense actually is even worse on the road than it is at home. The first quarter total is at 58.5. I think there's a chance that goes over tonight. The Pelicans, I know they're missing some offense with Zion, but I think they just have enough guys that combine like together that should be able to get it over their team total as well, in my opinion. So that's the way that I would look. I would probably look towards the Pelicans here, and also towards the over in that first quarter.
I'd agree, Ronald. I'm actually eyeing CJ McCollum over 24.5 points. He's been doing well. He's hit that over 4 out of the last 5 games. Tony, what are you eyeing for Spurs Pelicans?
Well, it appears at least that well, we already know. Let's just say that we already know that Ingram, Williamson have been ruled out. Liddell as well ruled out. Not that he's significant to the metrics of this team, but there's still a question mark about Nance, unless something's changed since the last time I looked 30 minutes ago. With those 3 guys out of the lineup, off the court, they move from a small plus on the net rating to almost a -5 or a -6 on a net rating, especially with Ingram and Williams both out off the floor. And really, it's points that are an issue. It's not so much defensive, the metrics on the defensive side, which is only 1 point difference. Johnson, the big absence from San Antonio. That's a lot of points for them to make up for. The 20-plus points he averages per game is a difficult situation. And the books have adjusted this number. Truthfully, this would be a number that if Williams and Ingram were there, we're looking at double digits, probably 12 points. They adjusted the number for those 2 to be out. Nance is the big question mark. If Nance is off, he's inactive, then I'm probably going to be with the visitor and the points here in this game tonight.
Yeah, Pelicans lost 4 in a row. They're going to be without their 2 starters, their 2 star power players. Ralph, how does that affect the way that you handicap this one?
Well, it didn't make my card, but I'm going to lead with San Antonio. I'm going to agree with Tony. Yeah, when you're missing, 2 players that average over 20 points per game in Williamson and Ingram, they're both out. They're also your number 4 and 5 rebounders. It's a big deficit. Now, you look at San Antonio, and to me, they've gone 5-2 straight up in ATS their last 7 games. Robert's going to get pissed at me when I say, but 2 of them were against Houston, so you have to take it in perspective. But going down to Miami, winning as a 12-point dog, knocking off Cleveland at home as a 9.5-point dog. What's the difference in those games? Well, you look in the last 6 days, they allowed 2 foes to shoot over 50%. That was Portland and Miami. Those were losses. The other foes they held to under 50%. Those were games they won and covered. And you look at San Antonio in their last 4 games, they've only topped 47% one game. That was the game at Phoenix that they lost by 4, getting 3 points. So, in the situation with the injuries, I still think this line is too high. I would clearly lean with the underdog.
I'm going to shy away from spread, but I am taking Pelicans money line. They're going to break that 4-game losing streak eventually. Pelicans 3rd in the West right now. Spurs 14th in the West. We've got to talk our second and last game of the NBA schedule. Weird how they had it like this weekend, but we've got the Washington Wizards at Utah Jazz. The Jazz are a 6.5-point favorite. We're seeing the total at 230.5. Tip off at 9 p.m. Eastern. Hey, the Wizards finally got a win against the Suns after a 10-game losing streak. The Wizards are second to last in the NBA in 3-point percentage this month. It's just been pretty bad. To me, I don't see a way in which Utah doesn't cover this. I've loved the way that Utah's going about this kind of new team, this new approach with their players. Ronald, what are you thinking for Jazz Wizards?
Yeah, I'm actually going to look towards the Wizards in this one. I know they're in a pretty bad schedule spot here, right? 5th game on the 6-game West Coast road trip. They're also playing tomorrow, so it's the first leg of back-to-back games. They are getting their first win after 10 straight losses. They beat the Suns outright as 7-point dogs. I know the Suns were without Booker, but Beal is back for the Wizards here, and that has been a huge addition for them. I think the Jazz, I like to fade the Jazz in this spot here as home favorites, especially when they're playing against non-conference opponents. They haven't done well in that spot. Overall, just as home favorites in general, they haven't really been covering at a high rate. Their defensive rating at home is 21st in the league, and they also play with a fast pace at home as well. So another way to look at it is actually towards the over as well. I think the offense for the Wizards are starting to click with Beal back. That gives them another option here. From a player prop perspective, I think Lauri Markkanen is a good spot there. 22.5 points. He's hit 31 against the Pelicans twice already this season, and the other game that he didn't hit over 22.5, he had 19 points. He only had 2 free throw attempts that game. I think he gets over that. The free throw attempt disparity there in this one. I know also Olynyk is out. In the last 2 games without Olynyk, he's gone over the 22.5-point margin as well. So I think from a player prop perspective, Markkanen over his points there, and also a look towards the Wizards in this one.
I'm going to eye Jordan Clarkson over 20.5 points. He's averaging just over 21 points this month, and he's hit over the last 2 games in a row. Ralph, what are you thinking for Wizards Jazz?
Well, it's weird to say that a team like Washington that played at Denver, at the Clippers, at the Lakers, at Phoenix, at Utah, and then at Sacramento is actually in a better scheduling spot than Utah. When you're playing these road games like you are, they played the 17th and the 18th. They stayed in LA. They didn't travel. They were playing in the same city back-to-back days. Then they had the off day and they're playing Phoenix. Then they had the off day, they're playing Utah. On the flip side, Utah is coming off at Milwaukee, at Cleveland, at Detroit. They played Cleveland and Detroit back-to-back nights, so this is their 3rd game in 4 days, and then they go back on the road for 3 more. So this is their only home game in the stand. They'll have played in 7 different cities, after this trip is over. I couldn't get to the Washington side, but I clearly do lean the Washington side in this. You look at the Utah defense the last 3 games, 53%, 61% against Cleveland, and they let Detroit shoot 50.6%. That is a big concern for me. I do want to bring up one thing that I looked at. When I looked at teams after playing Utah, if you're on the road, like Washington is, you play Utah and your previous game again, those teams like the Wizards in this situation, only 2-9 ATS. I'm giving you a negative angle after I told you I still lean Washington, but I want to make people aware of that. So if you played on the road your previous game and you are visiting Utah, you're only 2-9 ATS, which makes sense because of the elevation and the pace you're playing. So despite that angle, which I think is a very good system, I still would lean a lightest lean that I can give you on the underdog.
And the thing is, like with Utah, they don't have to depend on one guy. They don't have to depend on two guys. That's kind of why I've been leaning more towards the Jazz. Their approach is we can win in multiple ways, whether it's with Jordan Clarkson, Lauri Markkanen. They've got the talent, and I'm saying, hey, lay the 6.5 points. But Tony, are you leaning with the Wizards here?
Everything for me in this game tonight depends on the designation. What eventually happens with Porzingis, and for several reasons. One, this Washington team's about 5 points worse per 100 possessions without Porzingis on the floor, which doesn't really account for it, and that's overall. He also is really the answer to the Jazz, who are offensive monsters on the boards. They crash the boards, they cheat all the time on that side of the floor, and gamble that the opposition's not going to go out in transition. In this case, it's a pretty good gamble. Porzingis is really the best rebounder they have, despite the fact that he plays away from the bucket, away from the rim a lot of the time. And if he's off if he's off tonight, and he's not active, I'm with the home team tonight, the Jazz. If Porzingis is in the lineup, active, dressed, starting, playing, then I'm going to be away from the Jazz. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be on Washington. There's not much I like about this Washington team's. If you take out that win over the Suns, their numbers are pretty depressing. So that would be my stance.
Jazz 8th in the West, Wizards 12th in the East. All right, it is time for the best part of the NBA tip-off show. That is the best bets. It's a quick show, but this is the best one. Ralph, we're starting with you. You know the rules. Give us a best bet. You got 60 seconds on the clock. Say whatever you want. Get in, get out. Let's go.
Well, not having any interest in these two games tonight, I'm going to look ahead to Friday, and I'm going to share a system with you that I love. Now, the system is this. It's when a team is off a win as a dog of 6.5 or more against a team off a loss as a favorite. Those teams are only 43 and 80 ATS. That's 35%. So we have a 65% play on the Miami Heat. I will say this, though. With Butler and Lowry both questionable, one of them has to be in the lineup for this to be a legitimate play. So the system says I'm either playing the Heat or passing. If one of those two players are in, it very well make my card. And part of the reason the schedule is so light today, everybody plays tomorrow, nobody plays Christmas Eve, and then you have those big Christmas Day games.
3 seconds on the clock. Ralph, I love it. Tony, what do you got for us? Your best bet for Thursday, 60 seconds on the clock. Here you go.
I'm going to have some fun. There's only 2 games. I'm not going to give you a stance or ask you to take a stance in particular on a side or total in either of these 2 games. The NBA, the late game, the NBA feature, the NBA TV feature is the Jazz and the Wizards. And at plus 320, Markinson is getting paid plus 320 to get a double-double. He's had his share of double-doubles. When he doesn't score a lot, he really focuses on rebound. You know he's going to get part of those rebounds. So, with Olenek out, with Kelly out, give me plus 320 on a double-double from Marky Mark.
Look at that quick in and out. That is how it's done. You got 25 seconds left on the clock. Ronald, end us with something good. Best bets, 1 minute starting now.
Yeah, I know I talked about the Pelicans earlier, but I do want to look at the Spurs side here. Devin Vassell, over 21.5 points. It's at minus 120. In the 2 games without Keldon Johnson so far this season, he had 29 and 26. I think he's going to have a lot of volume, a lot of usage today without Keldon Johnson once again. I think this is going to be a high-paced game between the 2 teams, and without Zion, without Brandon Ingram, that's a lot of defense that's missing from the Pelican side. So he should be able to get this a lot of opportunity here to get over 21.5 points. Shout out to Sports Memo, our triple-double show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Myself, Moneyline Matt, and a rotating slew of cappers that come through on those days as well. Definitely check us out there on the Sports Memo YouTube channel. And yeah, that's it.
Hey, you can get get a shout out and a best bet in. That's a great day. We appreciate you guys here. Ralph, Ronald, and Tony. You can find more of them on Twitter. Cal Sports LV for Ralph, at Finn at WagerTalk for Tony, and at @U_Capper for Ronald. Just a reminder, Ralph's taken Miami -5, Lauri Markkanen double +320 for Tony Finn, and Ronald is taking over 21.5 points for Devin Vassell -120. I appreciate you guys here at Wager Talk. Happy holidays. Have a great rest of your weekend, and let's go cash some tickets in tonight.
In the spirit of the holidays, we want you to celebrate with your favorite Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicappers and do it at a discount by giving you a one-time 25% off everything you can fit into your cart between now and midnight on December 25th using coupon code GIFT25 when checking out. While this coupon can only be used once at Wager Talk and once at Sports Memo, the value is unlimited and there is no limit on what you can add to your cart when redeeming. Daily, all access, season, pick your team, and even mix and match handicappers as the combinations are endless. Remember, there is no limit to the number of handicappers at Wager Talk and Sports Memo you can lock in, but coupon code GIFT25 will expire at midnight on Christmas. On behalf of everyone at Wager Talk, Sports Memo, and Gold Sheet, we want to thank you for supporting us in 2022 by watching our videos, following us on social media, and trusting us with your wagers. However you celebrate, we wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.